7 habits of people who look poor but are actually rich. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I want you to picture 2 people for a second. The first one pulls up to a dinner in a brand new SUV, designer shoes, the newest phone, a watch that costs more than most people's rent. The second one shows up in a 10-year-old Honda Civic, jeans from Old Navy, a phone with a cracked screen he's had since 2021. Now, quick, gut reaction. Which one of these 2 people do you think has more money in the bank? If you said the guy in the SUV, I hate to break it to you, but statistically, you're probably wrong. And that, my friends, is the entire disease I want to talk about today. Because according to research from Thomas Stanley, the guy who literally spent decades studying millionaires for his book, The Millionaire Next Door, the majority of actual millionaires in America don't look like millionaires at all. They drive used cars. They live in normal, unremarkable houses. A huge number of them have never owned a new car in their entire lives. So today, I'm going to walk you through 7 habits of people who look poor on the outside, but are actually, quietly, boringly, unglamorously rich. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you're going to look at least one person in your life completely differently. Let's get into it. Habit number 1. They drive their cars until the wheels fall off. I mean this almost literally. The average car payment in America right now is over $700 a month for a new vehicle. $700 every single month for years. Do you know what $700 a month invested in an index fund over 20 years turns into? We're talking well over $400,000, assuming a normal historical market return. People who are actually building wealth understand this math intuitively, even if they've never run the numbers. They're not anti-car, they're anti-car payment. They buy something reliable, used, boring, and they drive it into the ground. I am frugal because I genuinely believe every car payment is a wealth payment you're making to someone else instead of to your future self. Habit number 2, they don't renovate the kitchen for Instagram. The reality is, quiet wealth doesn't care what your kitchen looks like on a Tuesday. The people quietly building real net worth are not doing the $60,000 kitchen remodel to keep up with the neighbors. Their house might be a little dated. Their bathroom might still have that 1990s tile. And they are completely, genuinely fine with that. Because they understand something most people don't. A home is not a performance for guests. It's a place you live in. Habit number 3, they treat frugal and cheap as 2 completely different words. And this is something I talk about a lot because I think it's the single most misunderstood idea in personal finance. Being cheap is depriving yourself and making everyone around you miserable to save $1. Frugality is carefully managing your money and refusing to waste it. A frugal millionaire will happily spend $40 on a great meal with people they love. That same person will also drive 15 minutes out of their way to save 30 cents a gallon on gas. Not because they're desperate, but because waste bothers them on principle. It's not about deprivation, it's about intention. Habit number 4, they automate before they ever feel rich. Here's a personal story for you. When I was fresh out of college, I was making about $11 an hour. That's it. And I remember setting up an automatic transfer. I think it was $25 a week into a separate savings account the day I got paid, before I ever saw that money hit my checking account. $25 a week. It felt like nothing. It felt almost pointless. But here's the thing about pay yourself first. It removes willpower from the equation entirely. You are not relying on your future self to be disciplined at 11 p.m. scrolling on Amazon. The money is already gone, already working, already invested before temptation ever gets a chance. People who look poor but are quietly rich almost always have this on autopilot. Automatic transfers, automatic investing, automatic bill pay. They've engineered their life so that building wealth doesn't require constant willpower. Habit number 5. They've made peace with the big 3, and they ignore the rest. Ladies and gentlemen, I need you to hear this clearly because I think it's the most important point in this entire video. Housing, transportation, food. These three categories make up the overwhelming majority of the average person's budget. We're talking sometimes 70 to 80% of what people spend every single month. Meanwhile, the entire internet is obsessed with telling you to stop buying $6 lattes. Here's the truth. Skipping your daily coffee is not going to make you rich. I'm sorry, it's just not. If you're driving a car that costs you $700 a month and living in a house that's stretching your budget to the max, saving $4 on coffee is rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. The quietly rich people I'm describing get the big three right. Modest housing relative to their income, a reasonable and often used vehicle, and groceries instead of daily takeout. And then, they genuinely don't sweat the small stuff because the big stuff is already handled. Habit number 6. They know the difference between looking rich and being rich. And this might be the sharpest one. There's an old idea that gets attributed to different people, but the gist of it is this. Rich people often try to look poor, and poor people often try to look rich. Think about that for a second. The guy leasing the luxury car he can't actually afford is signaling wealth he doesn't have. Meanwhile, the actual millionaire next door is mowing his own lawn in a t-shirt with a hole in it. Looking poor while being rich isn't an accident. It's often the entire strategy. It's a refusal to let ego make financial decisions. Habit number 7. They think in decades, not in weekends. This is the emotional core of everything I've talked about today. Every single one of these habits comes back to one core idea, a responsibility to your future self. The version of you 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 30 years from now is a real person who is going to either thank you or resent you for the decisions you're making right now. People who look poor but are actually rich have simply decided that future person matters just as much as the person standing here today.
Now look, I want to be honest with you because I always try to be. This lifestyle is not for everyone, and it's not always easy. If your income barely covers your basic needs, no amount of pay yourself first advice replaces the very real problem of not making enough money, and I never want to pretend otherwise. This video isn't meant to guilt anyone who's genuinely struggling. It's meant for the people who do have a little room to breathe, but who've been taught by ads, by social media, by the man, that the way to prove you're doing well is to spend like you're doing well. So here's what I want you to walk away with today. 2 or 3 things, really. First, wealth is quiet. It almost never looks the way you'd expect, and the people who have the most very often look like they have the least. Second, fix the big 3 before you obsess over the small stuff. Housing, transportation, food. Get those right, and the rest takes care of itself. And third, every decision you make with money is really a conversation with your future self. Treat that person with some respect. I hope this video gave you a little more peace of mind today, and maybe made you look at somebody in your life a little differently. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. And give this next video a watch. I think you're really going to like it. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, muchas gracias.